Hello and welcome to Tuesday Tea with Meg. Today I'm joined by a friend. This is Jodi,
Hi.
and she is the owner of a lovely maple farm, the one I was telling you about last week. And Jodi, will you just tell us a little bit about your farm and how you process and obtain the maple?
Sure. So thank you for inviting me to tea.
Thanks for coming.
We have a very small farm here, and we love to do all things new and that promotes good learning for us. So one of our objectives with our farm is just to kind of learn things that we didn't know in the past to produce products for the neighborhood and for the community around us, and to have a community here at the farm that can interact with us as we go through this process. And so some of the things we do, we have a big vegetable garden, and we grow tomatoes and carrots and onions and all the things. And we have a little farm stand that we put out on the road that we really enjoy. We enjoy it.
I enjoy it also.
Yes, not because it makes us tons of money, because it doesn't, but we enjoy it because we get to meet our neighbors and our friends and people from the community that we would have not normally met. So
I love
really
it.
neat for us. Yep.
Yeah.
We have bees and we have chickens. We had sheep. We went through the breeding process with them. It was very interesting. We learned a lot and enjoyed that process. And sometimes we do pigs and turkeys.
Oh,
Yeah.
sounds delicious.
Yeah, very, very delicious.
So, what got you into farming? Did you grow up on a farm, or is this a
Yeah.
passion project for you?
Yeah, so I'm going to say that God got us into farming. My hands were always in the dirt growing up. I did not grow up in an area that was rural, but my mom always kept us in a community in which we could go to pick your own farms and can at home or have a little garden in the backyard. And my husband grew up more rural than we did. And he wanted land, and I love land as well. So we just kind of gradually increased our land, and then God provided this place for us to purchase, and we are so thankful that he did, because we both love to be outside. We love to work. We love to put our hands to things, and this place allows us to do that.
Well, it's beautiful. I will take some pictures afterwards and post them so that you can see how beautiful this place is and some of the little nooks and crannies that are not visible in this video. But right now, we're in the sugar shack.
Yeah, that's right. Welcome. Welcome to the Sugar House.
Tell us about the sugar shack.
Okay, so we do maple syrup here, and it is very much a community thing. We have our own trees that we tap. We tap neighbors' trees. We have a co-op where people tap their own trees, and then they bring the sap to us, and we all boil down together. The season runs towards the tail end of winter, right when it's starting to warm up, but it's not warm enough to go outside and play yet. So we love maple syruping because it makes us go outside. It makes us shake off the winter. It gets us up and moving before spring actually sets in. And we get to watch God's creation wake up, which is something that a lot of people miss. You know, you notice the daffodils when they're out of the ground, but you don't notice them coming out of the ground. And all the little bugs and all the little things that happen, we get to see it all. So we do maple syrup. We tap our trees. This year we tapped in the beginning of February.
Which is early, right?
Which is pretty early. It was about 2 weeks earlier than we've ever tapped before. So talk
Wow.
about a different year. Very unusual. But we hit the season right on where it was supposed to be. And we tapped our trees, and then you start getting the sap that flows from the trees. You know, the syrup doesn't come out of the trees. The sap comes out of the trees. And it comes out when you have cold nights. It has to be well below freezing. And then these warm days with sunshine usually. Draws the sap up the trees, and as the sap's coming up the trees, it drips out of the spiles and into the buckets. And there's certain requirements for how often you should tap a tree, or how big a tree needs to be to have certain taps. So we follow all those for the health of our trees. We like to use the old-fashioned system of the buckets, because one of the reasons we do this is to get out and moving. So if we have the lines, very efficient, but not much movement. So we use the buckets, and we go out every afternoon about 3 o'clock. And we collect. Sometimes neighbors come over and help. Sometimes friends come over and help. Parents come over and help. And everyone gets to shake off the winter blahs together. Great. Yeah.
Okay, and the buckets are much cuter than just having a tube coming out of the
They
tree.
are. They are very nice, aren't they? Yes, they are. I use them for many other things. Sometimes they get a hole in them that cannot be repaired, so then I can use them for all kinds of other things.
Oh,
Apple collecting or potatoes. I enjoy it.
okay, perfect.
This is our dog, Lady. She's a lovely farm dog.
Hello, lady. Would you like to say hello to our viewers? Just this way.
Lady, come on.
Just,
Lady,
just put
come
your
on,
head,
Lady.
your
There
face
we
over there.
go. And so then after we collect the sap, we bring it into our collection tank. There's a tube that goes outside the back of the sugar house. People contribute their sap into that. People contribute, their sap, and it comes in here. We dump from our tractors. We have big containers on our tractors, and then we feed it into this tank back here. And from this tank, once we have enough sap, we have about 3 days to do a boil. So sap doesn't last forever. So you have about 3 days to use it up. And once we have enough, we have to have 400, 500, 600 gallons, somewhere in that range or more. We start up the evaporator and we have a boil day. And boil days are lots of fun.
They are. I was here for a few hours a couple weeks ago, and it was just nice to sit around and talk and learn from people. One of the older gentlemen who was here was telling me tips on how to be an influencer. And I thought that was fun and interesting.
Over here. Yeah.
So,
Yes, you get all kinds of people.
yeah,
It's great.
things you
And
never expect.
So we start the fire in here. It takes about 4 hours of, yes, right here. It takes about 4 hours of feeding it wood to get it up to the temperature that you need to actually have syrup in these pans. And so this is all pretty technical, actually. It kind of uses density and gravity, and it flows through the system. And we have a forced air fan on here that heats the fire to super high temperatures, essentially. And this whole sugar house fills with steam. We have louvers up there that flop down to let the steam out. And it's pretty fun. It's a fun thing to do. The kids run and play in the yard, and everyone's muddy and usually cold and tired by the end of it. But we get some good syrup, and it's a very enjoyable experience.
And wearing kids out is always a plus.
Yes, especially in the winter when they have cabin fever.
Yes. Oh, the winter time is a fun time to have children inside.
Yep.
Special time.
Yeah, yes, it is, especially when there's no snow, like this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a very fun thing. We have everyone stops by, neighbors stop by, and people from work stop by, and people from church, and people from school, and it's just a nice meeting. Everyone kind of meets and greets. We have older folks from the community that just love to come and stay, and it's so exciting to hear their wisdom. Actually, the reason that we got into this syruping is because the neighbor across the way had done syruping for about 35, maybe 40 years. So they started
Wow.
way back, and they were experts at it. And when they moved, they said, we don't really want to stop syruping. And we had kind of picked up with them as they, went through the process. We had started helping them a little bit more, on our part because we loved it and we wanted to keep the boys active, and on their part because as they were doing more of it, it was more work. And so we would go over and help collect and help split the wood and help get things ready for it. And so when they were moving, they said, if we put in the evaporator, will you guys do the building and keep the maple syruping going? And we said, yes, if you agree to teach us. And they came down every boil and taught us everything they know.
Oh, wow.
So I can't imagine doing year one syrup on my own, but God was really faithful to provide these mentors for us to come alongside us and to pass the knowledge from one generation down to the next generation. And they still come up for most of our boils. It's been maybe 7 years.
Wow, that's really great.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I think so many things that we learn about it are often on YouTube these days. And I think if I had tried to learn about something that's so hands-on as that off the internet, it would have been a disaster.
Yeah.
But so I'm glad you got to
Yeah.
get
If you want to
some
learn about
first-hand
something,
knowledge.
find an old folk. They probably know. This is my motto sometimes, especially in farmy stuff, because they know. And if they're in your area, they know the season. So, you said that this season was really early. So before we tapped, because it was so significantly outside of the range in which we normally tap, I called this couple and I said, what do you think about this? And so we talked through a lot of the things in the area that affect our climate here and our season, including Lake Erie ice coverage, and the
Oh,
average nighttime temperatures over the winter, and things such as that, and the amount of like ice that's in the ground, right? Like the ground
okay.
temperature. And so we talked through those things, and they said, yep, we think you're right, go ahead and tap. So we kind of still use them for that guidance because they know the local climate so well.
Yeah, that's something really important that I wouldn't have thought of. And
Yeah.
Lake Erie ice coverage, that's so
Yeah, right.
definitely not something I would have thought
But
about.
it's definitely after they have had this much experience, he says, I see a direct correlation between the amount of ice coverage and the length of the season or the coldness of the nights. And
Wow.
so that's what you get for years of experience. So
Yeah.
like grateful that they shared that with us.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, can you tell us a little bit about this little doohickey right here?
Yes.
Can
So, yep. So what we do is,
Do you want to take it up to
oh,
the camera?
sure. I hope you can see this. She might have to send you a picture. Oh, yeah, you can kind of see the light going through there. And the last one is really dark compared to the other ones. Let me move it over a little bit. So our syrup, because it's boiled in small batches, it comes up to be different colors, and most syrup does. It depends on what I've been told is the bacterial activity in the sap and how it can change from one type of sugar to another. So we do a tester after we filter our syrup. We draw it from here, we filter our syrup. It goes through, some pre-filters, and then it goes through the main filter. And then it comes out nice and clear, which is great. But they have different colors, and each different color has a little bit of a different flavor to it. Usually the colder it is when you're collecting sap and the colder it is when you're boiling, the lighter the syrup color will be. And it doesn't have as much of a maple flavor. It will have a sugary taste and not such strength to the flavor of it. And then these ones, the three here, are from some of our boils this year, and it's an amber color. And the amber color is, medium flavor, pretty mild, still sweet, but not super strong. This last one is the last boil that we did, and it's robust. And the
Yes.
robust flavor is very strong maple flavor, sweet, but you're going to get more maple than you're going to get anything else.
And is that the one that I tasted?
Yes, I think this is
Okay.
the last season one that we did. And usually once it gets pretty dark, there's many reasons we know we're done, but once we get dark runs like this, we're pretty sure we're done. We like it strong. A lot of the older folks like it strong, but that usually signals like, okay, the trees are going to start to bud out at any point, and once they bud out, they'll still put off sap, but it won't be as good.
Okay. Yeah, that was a very strong syrup, and if you like maple, that is the way to go. The
Yeah.
end of the season tapping. Okay, great. Well, is there somewhere they can go to purchase your delightful syrup, or would you prefer to keep it a little anonymous?
Little secret. But we're not great business people. We're just not made that way. We love the community of the farm. We love the work, but it's hard for us to do the business end. So we're learning. So my mom does a farm stand out front of our farm. So if you're watching this video, you will probably know where our farm is, and please head on down to the farm stand or just come knock on the door. The syrup's down here and ready to go.
And if you're not local to Northeast Ohio, then we're sorry, but I don't think you ship, do you?
We have actually shipped all the way out to California.
Oh, okay. So,
So-
message me if you want to get in touch with these guys, or I can
Yeah.
post something for you to find
Yeah.
out more information.
Great. Okay.
But yeah, this is the lady where I'm getting my syrup from now, and it's been delicious and a great experience to get to know her better and get to know some of the people that she knows when I come here for a maple boiling
Yeah.
experience.
It's fun. Fun things to do.
Okay, so can you tell us one last question? How do you pursue health and wholeness in your life?
Oh, okay. Well, I think one of the main ways that I pursue health and wholeness is that I really enjoy quality time in God's creation. So I have a lot of people, when you have kids, you're busy, Everyone's talking at you all the time, you know. Husbands, work people, everyone's at you. And it's great. That's our job. That's our role as moms, and as just to be out in the community. There's a lot of interacting, but I love quiet time in my garden. So when I get out on the farm, not even in my garden, but collecting the sap if I'm doing it by myself, or, you know, working with the chickens, I just love quiet time. God's creation is purposed to be very restorative. You know, he created this in the Garden of Eden. He made us, he set us in there. You know, the creature of the human, the person is supposed to be in that creation. And he did that purposefully. You know, he didn't just do it because he thought it would be fun or an interesting thing to do. He made us unique to this earth, to this world. And when we're in creation, we have to think about where it all came from. We have to decide, you know, if I'm in this creation, then there has to be something that made it. And who is this God that made it? And it lets you kind of be in this place where you have to take account and know that there is this creator, this God that made this earth. And if he made it, then he's in control of it. And he's in charge of it. And I don't have to be. You know, I can't control everything that my garden does. I can't control the seasons. I can't make the maple sap run. No matter how hard I try, I cannot make it be cold at night and warm during the day. I just can't, right? And so I have to trust that God's going to provide during the seasons what he's going to provide. And that takes a lot of the worry off of me. It takes a lot of the pressure off of me. It takes a lot of the stress. In lives where we have to produce and we have to make and we have to have all these things happening, when I'm in creation, I can just say, God, I know that you're in charge of it. I can't water the whole earth. You know, I could maybe water this spot or this spot, and my garden's huge. You know, I can't even water all of it. I try, but I can't. And I just have to know that God's going to send the rain, and he's going to water his crops in his timing, and I'm going to trust him for what he has. And I think when I'm in God's creation, when I'm outside, when I'm working in the ground or with the things that he's made, it really puts my mind in a right place of that. I know that he's in control. I don't have to carry the burden of that, and I can trust him to take care of his own earth. And I need that. It resets me. It helps me to just reduce my stress load. I love to go down to the garden early in the morning, do my gardening. I put in the Bible audio app. I'll listen to the Bible. I'll hear his words. Sometimes I'll listen to an Adventures in Odyssey. I mean, who knows, you know, but I love to just spend time with him. And when I have heard God's voice clearly, it has been in that space. It has been in a space where I know he's in control. I know that I can, you know, trust him with what he has. And I mean, I'm known to get down on my knees in the middle of the garden when the moment strikes and just worship him, because you're just so taken in by his creation and by all that he offers and his care for it. And that just reduces my dependence on myself. And I know I can depend on him, which is really a wonderful thing. So I think that's my health and wellness tip, is just to be outside and just breathe and let yourself realize that God is in control of all of this, and you don't have to carry that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful, Jodi. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks. Well, I'm glad I can. And if you live in the neighborhood and you hear me singing in the garden, I apologize.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this with us and this time. And I hope all of you are a little encouraged to go out into your gardens this year. I know you'll see lots of pictures from me from my garden over the summer, and it's not nearly as big as Jodi's, but you know, I keep buying more and more seeds thinking I'll have space to plant it, and I can't grow my yard any bigger, and my kids are going to get mad at me as I encroach more on their play area. So it's always a balance.
Yeah. It is. But it's an adventure to start new things.
Absolutely.
And to even see the season coming and know that
Yes.
you're preparing for it well, and you know, just to trust God on that journey every summer.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yes. There's a lot of hope in the spring.
That's right. It's full of hope. We need that after the winter.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Jodi.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for watching. And this is not going to be live, obviously, but I hope you enjoyed it. And next week I will have Becca the doula. That's the plan.
Oh,
Yeah.
how
So,
exciting.
so hopefully every week I'll have a new interview. And if I don't have an interview, I'll have something interesting to share with all of you regardless.
Okay, bye.
Happy Tea Day!